Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to City Skylines 2 and welcome back to Columbia County. I hope you're having a good one. I am so excited to be back. There have been some changes between this episode and the last one. I think this is the first time in the series that I've said that, and it's not going to be a super common thing. I have my reasons for the changes taking place between episodes and not in an episode, but we'll talk about that when we talk about it. First, let's talk about what the changes actually are. So you might have spotted it already, but we now have an asymmetrical road that brings people from the regional road into the town. We have one right here. I didn't really bother doing them in the middle sections because I didn't really feel it was necessary, but I did think it was a good idea down this way, and I might add more asymmetrical roads along this entire thing, just because I am noticing traffic is backing up a little bit around here, with some of it wanting into the town and some of it wanting to go straight on. It might be best to just give the Sims some options, but we'll take a look at that in just a second, because that's kind of the smaller change that I made. I also spent some time building all of this, and this, and it doesn't really look like much when I fly over it quickly, but I kind of went back and forth on what I wanted to do here. I really don't know how to build on curves, so I figured we'd just turn this into a green space and kind of continue it down between all of these buildings. And I just like the lines. I like the paths that we have going through here. I like that this line kind of continues over here. I like that these paths sort of continue into here. And I also really love what I did in here. These buildings, these two mid-rise mixed-use buildings, are corner buildings, and they just built like that. I didn't place these myself. I think it's because the game considers the roundabout to be a corner. So these popped up. I extended the surfaces into these corners. I placed down some props, and we just have like a little market thing now, and I love it. I want to do more of this, actually, and we're probably going to do that today, but this, I love this. I think it's such a cool little space, and I think it's going to look, I just bit my tongue and it really hurt. I think it's going to look so much better with, that actually did really hurt. Ow. I think it's going to look even better with more buildings on the other side of that road. And then the final two changes are relatively quick. Change number one is that I am tentatively calling this place Blackwater, this little town specifically, because it was a suggestion in the comments on the first episode, I think. And it's also the name of a town in two of my favorite games, that being Red Dead Redemption and Red Dead Redemption 2, which is a game I still play a lot to this day. So Blackwater felt like a really good choice. The second of the smaller changes is that I've enabled another mod, which lets me see how much money I'm making. Yes, we have $760,000 and we're making $16,000 an hour. Things are going pretty well for Blackwater at the moment. Things are going pretty well for Columbia County at the moment. In fact, things are going so well that I can finally go back in here and start to reset some of the budgets a little bit. So we can kind of give people, you know, bring the service fees down a little bit for electricity and for water. We can reset the healthcare budget. We can reset the garbage budget. We can probably reset the education budget, the fire and rescue budget, the policing budget, the transportation budget, and the communications budget. And having reset all of those, we're still making $7,000 an hour, which is fantastic news. And that's hopefully going to do away with a bunch of the complaints that we're seeing, you know, not enough healthcare, for example. And hopefully that means that the issues people have down here with happiness are going to start to go away as well. Now, we don't have a mail service, so that's kind of why it's going to be unreliable. High noise pollution is kind of just going to be a thing. And unreliable healthcare is hopefully going to go away. Oh my God, that plane is so loud. It's hopefully going to go away now that the medical clinic actually has a bit of a budget. Now, looking at this, there are a decent number of patients in here, which could be slightly problematic. I don't know that we need more ambulances, although all 5 of them are being used. So I'll tell you what, how much is this? 25,000, 3,500 upkeep. I think we're going to put some extra ambulances in here. We're just going to double the number that we have, and I think that's the right call to make at this stage with the medical clinic right there. I don't know that we need another patient wing. I don't know that things are that bad just yet, but if we do, I'm going to have to figure out what buildings are going away because, I mean, looking at this thing, it's not going to go into the parking lot. It's kind of going to go most likely over here. So we're going to have to figure that one out. I also don't really want to put it on this little avenue. That's kind of the last place I want to put it. So oh, actually it does fit in there really nicely. You know what? That's going to be relatively easy to do. We will still have to get rid of some buildings, but it should be all right. And it should be easy enough to do. Anyway, I want to start extending this avenue right here because I want to start building in more of this space, but I also want to try my best to get a welfare office in here today. I think that's something I do really sort of want to try and get my hands on. I think it'd be good to help people out a little bit, but I think having this road out here is going to give me a bit more infrastructure, is maybe not the word, a bit more of a blueprint perhaps of where I want to go with Blackwater and how I want to do that. And I'm kind of thinking, and I'm kind of torn on this one, part of me wants to go along the coast like this. I think that could be kind of a cool idea. But then I also like the idea of just being parallel to this road because it's going to make my life so much easier if I do go parallel to this road. But I think having a road here and then having the welfare office on that road could give us space in front of it to maybe do something with some paths and some key walls to just get a nice little area on the water for people to walk around and enjoy. So I think we're going to do both. I think that's going to be the plan. So we'll do a little section, say, you know what? Let's try and keep this about 6 tiles from the water. So right about there, going to roughly about, I would say there. That gives us sort of that 6 tile separation from the water. So we'll put that in there and that'll be fine. We'll take out the extra part of avenue because we don't really need it. And then for the rest of this, I do sort of want to try and at least have a section of this that's going to be parallel to this road. So what we'll try and do, I guess, is go from probably here, and that'll give us a section of road that's going to be parallel to this guy. We could probably take out a little chunk of you. We'll take that part out. And then hopefully I can get this to curve around in a way that's not going to look too terrible. Now that I don't love. So we'll take out a little chunk of this road as well. We'll go for about there, taking out that part, turn on our guidelines. And can I get this to sort of work? That actually doesn't look too bad. I think I can live with that. And then all I'm going to do is turn off my guidelines and extend this guy straight through, chop out the parts we don't need. And how does the zoning look on this? Honestly, not too bad. Okay, I can live with that. I think I'm going to put a little bit of a curve on this corner as well, just because I might as well. This is sort of going to be a main road, which might end up being kind of weird. I also totally didn't mean to do that. So let's just redo that entire stretch of road right there and hope that my zoning kind of works out, which of course it doesn't. Every single time, man, I mess it up and then I just fight with the zoning. There's what I'm looking for. We'll get a curve, we'll get our guidelines, and it's just going to go pretty much like that. And I think that's all right. So you can now drive from here down along the banks of the river. You can get to where the welfare office is going to be. And then I suppose we should just continue something over here as well. We have this road connection that can basically cut straight through. It's apparently overlapping things. So we'll turn on anarchy just so I can make this happen. And I'm actually going to need anarchy because this is going through this bit of road over here, which is something we'll deal with in just a second because I'm just going to use this to roughly line these guys up. So bring you straight down. Let's try and get it to play nicely, which it does. We'll take those parts out and we'll do exactly the same thing. I'm going to use the edge of the zoning radius there to kind of get it on the corner. We'll get it on the corner here as well. Take those guys out. And then with a little bit of tweaking, we get this, which gives us a road that now takes you from the industrial space, which is still temporary, by the way. It's an area that I'm not thrilled with, but it gives you this connection that goes under the bridge, around here, and over to the Meadowbrook suburb, which I think is a solid little road. It's going to be kind of a pain to build off of because it is now another, I guess, axis that we're going to be using. It's going to be its own little grid and it's going to have to meet somewhere in the middle. It's going to be a whole thing and I'm probably going to hate trying to build on it, but I'll manage. I am sure I will survive. And, you know, just thinking about it, I mentioned the idea of changing these roads down here. I'm thinking while I'm here, I might as well. So I'm going to put a node right there, and we're going to just swap some of these guys around. Now, I'm not 100% sure what way to do this. I'm kind of thinking, I guess we do this. And then I think on this side we do this. We'll try and get ourselves a node somewhere in the middle of this whole thing, although we do have this guy. So maybe the easiest thing to do here would be... Oh, how is this going to work? I hadn't really thought about this. I think that's roughly the midpoint right there. So put a node right there. We'll go into upgrade and we'll say 3 lanes going that way. We'll have 2 going that way, 2 going that way. That should be fine. And then similar story down here. We'll put a node right into this spot, and then we'll get our upgrades. We'll have 3 going in here, and we'll keep the 3 going that way. We'll have 3 going this way, and it doesn't line up with the existing road. That's kind of a pain. Also, have I elevated this thing? I absolutely have. That's not what I need to be doing. That's absolutely, completely unnecessary. We don't need any key walls on this entire section of road, so we'll just take all of those out. And I guess this guy just needs to be moved. I think that's kind of just what I'm going to do, is just shift it over to the other side and have it be like that, which I think is probably fair enough. So yeah, that'll be fine. That'll hopefully help traffic a little bit. Doesn't look like we have too many trees on the road. We have some that are kind of overhanging, but I don't think we have any that are on the road that I need to worry too much about right now. So I'm probably not going to. I'm kind of curious to see how traffic deals with that, though. It's maybe a little bit of overkill, but given that eventually we are going to be pushing traffic straight down here and across to another regional road, I think it's probably a good bit of future-proofing at the very least, so we'll not worry too much about it. So now I want to move into this space where I've already started putting in these mixed-use buildings. And I want to start doing exactly the same thing on this side. So we're going to get a couple of 3x4 mixed-use buildings. And we can tell that these are going to be corner buildings because there's an entrance to the construction site on this road, and there's an entrance right here. But like I said, I think the game considers this to be a corner, even though it's a roundabout and it's 2 tiles back. I'm totally fine with that. It works for me. It gives me the style that I want. And so that's what we're going to do. We're not really going to worry too much about it. I'm also going to do a 2x4 building here, a 2x4 building here, and then a 3x2 and a 3x2. Down this way, we'll do another 2x4, a 2x4, and then do I want to go asymmetrical with this? I think I kind of do. So we'll do another 3x4, and then I'm going to say another 2x4, and then a 3x2. Just so we have, well, is that maybe a bit much? That's a little bit much, actually. Take these guys out. Let's do the 3x2 a little sooner, so it's right there. I think that'll be a better shout. In fact, can I do a 3x3? Does that exist for these? No, they don't. Okay. So that's fine. That's what that side's going to be. This side, I think, is going to go straight to the 3x2 a little bit sooner. And there is method to my madness here, by the way. There's a reason I'm sort of doing what I'm doing. And I might do another 2x4 right there. And I think on this side, actually, I am going to do another 2x4 on that side as well. Again, there is method to my madness. The rest of this is going to be a bunch of row houses, and we could probably enable zoning just down here for just a few more row houses. And I think I'm going to go to about there for these row houses. So we'll let those build. We're getting a couple of small ones that we don't want as per usual. And you can kind of see how this is coming together. You can kind of see what I'm going for here. We get these buildings that are on the corners. We can lock their levels so that they don't change their surfaces, meaning when I move them, we're not going to have that problem. And I'm going to lock these guys as well, because I don't really know what the upgrades look like for them. And I do want those solid walls right there to kind of enclose everything a little bit. And honestly, I kind of like this. I think this is a good little layout. And now I suppose I can get to the reason that I wanted to do this specific layout of buildings. What I'd like to do is go in and get myself some alleyways. And I know putting alleyways in here is maybe a little bit of overkill, but I want to do this, and I want to bring it all the way down to about there. And there's a few reasons for that. Reason number one is it gives me some crosswalks right by the entrance to this park, which is fantastic. And reason number two is it means I can put some tiny parking lots here and here. And then on the other side, I can basically do exactly the same thing. We can go down, we can go across, we can go to here, and we can go down to this guy. And then I can go back in, I can do a tiny parking lot, I can do a tiny parking lot. And I can also, if I wanted to, do a modest parking lot or even some of these longer parking lots in some of these spaces if I can get it to line up, which it doesn't really seem to want to do, which is deeply unfortunate. It'd be really nice if it would. My point being, I can kind of play around with parking lots here, and I kind of want to do that. So I'm thinking we're going to do... Oh, this one doesn't really want to... This one's not going to behave as nicely because it has that road on the right side. How do I want to do this? What way do I want to do this whole thing? I do like these longer parking lots. I kind of want to play around with those. So I'm thinking longer parking lot right there. I'm thinking longer parking lot right there. I think we get another alleyway, and I think we just go around this like so. And I think we just go around this one like so. And that seems fine. I could probably put another longer parking lot in here. So let's take a look at this distance. So this is, if I turn on my grid snapping, that's going to be 64. So if I go 64 to here and here, I should have space, I think, for, yeah. I think that's what we'll do. A couple of longer parking lots in there. That seems fine. This space can be for something else. And that's good. That gives us a bunch of parking. It gives us a bunch of space for detailing. It gives me space for trees. And it gives us a bit more density in the middle that, yes, it is going to drive up the population, but it shouldn't drive it up by that much. So it shouldn't be that big of a deal. Now, let's also go in here and turn off these traffic lights because I don't think we need them. We'll turn them off here. I'm going to turn them off here as well. And I'm going to turn them off right here. And then what I think I'll do is use the traffic mod and the priorities tool to just set this up. So I want these guys to yield, which I think they're doing already. I want these guys to have priority, which I think they technically already had. But that should mean, essentially, any traffic on this avenue is going to get priority over traffic on the alleyway. Same thing over here. I want these guys to have priority, and then the alleyways are going to yield, which is great news. And same over here, it is going to be priority for the avenue. Alleyway is going to yield. And honestly, here as well, you guys are all going to get priority. You guys are going to yield. And we could probably do the same in a lot of these roads, but I'm really not interested in going around and doing all of the lane connections and priorities and things like that right now. I don't think it's that big of a deal. This, I think, is going to look really cool, though, especially once we start surrounding it with more things. So I suppose, with that in mind, let's start detailing it just a little bit. And I think the first thing we're going to do is, oh, do I put the trees on the sides? We have the trees going down the middle of this avenue at the moment. I'm slightly tempted to put them, oh, was not expecting that. I wasn't paying any attention to the milestones, but I'll take it. That's fantastic news. 175,000, a bunch of development points. We got some more expansion permits. Let's have a look. We got gated community. Okay, well, that's not really something we're going to be using right now. Let's see. I'm kind of thinking that putting the trees on the, I'll put them in the middle. I'll just put them in the middle. It's easier. We kind of continue the design we've been doing. We'll put them down there like this. And I think what I'll do, since we have the parking in the back here now, we're going to bring the trees down that little bit further. It's kind of going to suck for anybody that's, you know, living on this street. They don't have roadside parking, but they can park back here, so they should be fine. And it just gives me a nice little bit of greenery around what's kind of going to be one of the more dense spots in Blackwater. Also looks like we're having some garbage problems, which reminds me, city policies, we want to import city services, which includes garbage management. And the reason we want to do that is because this place keeps filling up and I really can't be bothered dealing with it. I don't want to expand it. Although, oh wow, we are now losing. Never mind. Hold on a minute. You know what? Let's not do that. Let's not do that. Let's absolutely not do that. Let's do a waste recycling unit, which will process the incoming waste and recycle what's possible, lowering the ground pollution produced by the landfill site. That only does, that's not what I'm looking for. I'm kind of looking for, I need something to process the waste. You know what? Give me that anyway. We'll do that anyway. There you go. We'll put that on there. I don't know if that's going to make the production or the processing faster. It'll be fine. We'll just, I'm going to have to do something with the landfill at some point. I was really hoping to just import the city services, but apparently we're not doing that. So let's just keep on focusing on what I was focusing on right here. So at this stage, what I'd like to do is go into my surfaces tool, and I want to just extend you up to there. And I would like to extend you down to about there. And I'm going to extend you just over like this. So we have this covered. We're going to do the same thing over here. Bring this out. We're going to bring you out to about there, and you come straight down to about there. And again, it gives us a nice little bit of coverage for this space. I do really enjoy seeing everybody moving around here. It is really, really cool. It's really, really cool. Now, I'm also thinking we have these graffiti decals by Sully. So why don't I play around with some of these? Why don't we get, you know, cuboid on the wall right here? That seems like kind of a good place for it. So we'll do something like that. We could do chameleon over on this wall right about there. Is the ghosting back, or is that just these? That's interesting. The ghosting issue might be back. That's worrying, but all right. We'll not worry too much about it right now. Let me do a little something on this garage door right about there. Seems kind of cool. We got TDW. Can I get you on a garage door as well? Maybe right about there. Seems like kind of a neat spot for it. I kind of like that. Maybe one more. We'll get like one more over here just for a bit of asymmetry right about there. And you know what? I also kind of want to get a little bit of grime onto these buildings. So I'm going to put some stains just sort of up here. Something like that. I'm going to do the same thing at the top of this building so that they just look a little bit older and maybe a little bit less well kept. And then I'm kind of wondering, can I do the same thing here? Because that is a very, very clean white wall for what is a relatively, you know, highly trafficked area. So let's just do something like that, I think. Just for a little bit of grime. I think it's kind of cool. I kind of want to do the same thing over here. This wall is really needing a little bit of power washing, honestly, which I've recently gotten into in a pretty big way. I have kind of fallen in love with just washing the yard. Just the, like, you know, you see these things on like YouTube Shorts or TikTok or Instagram, whatever, about people with a power washer. It's like, this is so satisfying. It is. It's one of the very few things in life where I'm like, yeah, the internet was right. This is actually really satisfying to do. I have a picture somewhere. I would say that I'll put it on screen if I remember, but I won't, because I won't remember. But I got a picture recently. I power washed half of my backyard because I was tired of like slipping on just like dirt, and it hadn't been done in a really long time. I really let it go. And I did half of it. I power washed the part of the yard that I walk across to go out to like the dryer or the bins or to get to my office. And I have this beautiful like before and after of, it's just one picture. I just took the picture and was like, oh, there's like half, there's the part I cleaned and there's the part I didn't. And it's just night and day. And I love it so much. It's so satisfying. It's something I've kind of really taken to, and I'm really enjoying. So I kind of want to do more of that, and I might actually do that while this video is rendering. That might be what my afternoon is going to hold at this point. A little bit of power washing seems like a really great idea today. It is a little bit grimy outside, so maybe. I also got some new boots for it as well, so I kind of need to try those out. I was I'm really into it, man. I'm not gonna lie. I never thought in my life I'd be like, you know what, I enjoy power washing the yard. It's like the most adult thing that I do, and it's great. It's genuinely one of my favorite things. Just throw on some headphones, listen to some music, get absolutely covered in filth and water, and absolutely freeze, but it's just so good. It is such a good time. I highly recommend it if you were just looking for honestly, yard work in general, I never thought in my life I would be talking about really enjoying like yard work, but genuinely, it's a really satisfying thing. I've done a lot of it in the last like year or so. I've just been like mowing the grass and like trimming the hedges, and that sounded cleaner in my head. Yeah. My point being, man, this would be such a good place for like a Manscaped sponsorship, but unfortunately, not for me, apparently. Like the only person on YouTube that hasn't been sponsored by Manscaped. But anyway, yeah, it's a really good time, and I'm really just enjoying like looking after the yard and, you know, keeping the place clean and tidy, and it's just really satisfying. Anyway, you might have noticed that I completely glossed over what I'm doing here. I think it's kind of obvious what I'm doing, though. I don't think I need to explain what I'm putting together here. We're just putting together a little extension of like this. And the game crashed. Come on! No! It was going so well! Okay, so thankfully there was an autosave about 2 minutes before the game crashed, which is, I'm playing it dangerous with City Skylines these days. I'm not gonna lie. My autosave frequency is every 30 minutes. It used to be every 10 minutes, and that got to be really annoying. And I'd be lying if I said there wasn't a sweat breaking out when I was loading the game back up after that crash, because I was not convinced there was an autosave, but there was. Everything's good. I've put everything back in here. I think it even looks a little bit better. I've got some benches, I've got some flowers, I've got some bins. It just looks like a nice little, I don't know, markety area is what we're gonna go for. It's kind of cool. It's an interesting use of the space, I think, and it fills in the area around the roundabout really, really nicely. So, speaking of filling in areas, we have all this space around these parking lots to deal with. So what I'd like to do is keep it relatively simple. I want this cultivated green bush. I want a space between them of about 2 meters, and I want the fixed length mode. We're going to go from that corner. We're going to go to that spot, and that gives us a nice row of bushes right there. We'll do the same thing on this side as well. And then for up here, I really don't know what to do with it. Part of me is tempted to do a surface. I think that could be interesting. I'm also noticing here could probably use a few of these bushes. So we'll do exactly that same thing just to get a little bit of detail in here. I think it's probably for the best. And honestly, this is something that I'm absolutely loving about this build, is because I'm building everything kind of so slowly and sort of deliberately. Like, I'm not trying to, this is not by any means, I've seen a couple of people in the comments be like, man, this is like, is this like a new Emerald County? And again, if you know what that is, no. no, it isn't. But there's a similar vibe. Like, I'm kind of feeling it as well, and I'm really enjoying it. So there's definitely a similar vibe. It is not a new Emerald County, but it is a similar vibe to what we were doing with Emerald County. So that's kind of where we're at. Now for this space, I guess we could do some kind of surface. I don't know if it should be grass or if it should be like gravel or what it should be really. We have these different concretes. We've got all these blocks. We got some wood. We got some ground. I honestly don't really know. We have this rocky sand, but with how my lighting is right now, I'm not convinced this isn't just going to be really, really blinding, which is, yeah, no, absolutely not. Absolutely not. You know what we'll stick with? We'll stick with the old faithful. We'll go with a good old grass surface. And I think honestly, just going with this manicured one is probably the easiest option. We'll just do that. We'll do the same thing over on this side. We'll just run a grass surface right down there and then right the way back to there. And then I'll probably still go in with some bushes. I think that's probably the right call. So, well, do I want to line this entire space? I think I do. I think we'll just line this entire little grassy area with a bunch of bushes. And then a bunch of young birch trees will give us something to look forward to once they grow up a little bit. We'll have a bit more nature back there. But I think that's about as much detailing as I want to do for those parking lots. It just gives us something functional back there that I think really helps to kind of tie it all together. The only other thing I would consider doing here is maybe a little fence along the backs of these houses, but I don't think that's necessary because as some of them upgrade, I think, yeah, they do occasionally get their own fences and hedges, so I think it'll be a waste of time for me to go through there and add them myself, so I just don't think I'm going to. I think this looks fine. I think this is a good little, it's a good little use of the space, and I'm really, as much as I'm trying to stay away from, you know, huge gains in the population, I like this. I'm really, really pleased with this. So I think at this stage, I want to take a look at getting the welfare office. It's $110,000, but it helps the less fortunate by increasing well-being in the surrounding neighborhood. It's $22,500 a month, which isn't great, but I'm pretty sure we can afford it. It is a pretty large building, which is not necessarily ideal, but again, I want to say we can kind of make it work. Now, I was considering giving it its own little section of road, but honestly, I don't really think I need to, and I don't really think I want to. I think what I'd like to do is just put this thing right there, and I think it's just going to live right there. We can do some recoloring with it, but honestly, I'm probably not going to bother because I don't know what I can recolor and what I can't. But what I would like to do is start to customize this thing a little bit. I want to get rid of those hedges, for example, and then I want to go in and I want to modify some surfaces by bringing this one straight out to that road, and then I want to bring this one straight out to that corner so that this is all now a part of the welfare office. It gives it just a bit of a bigger footprint, and I think that's more interesting. On this side, I want to do some parking. So I kind of have to figure out what exactly that's going to look like and how exactly that's going to work, which, actually thinking about it, might very well just be its own road. That might not be a terrible idea. I might use a one-way road for it, just for traffic control, but my thinking would be if we turn off these guidelines, if I go like here and we go back to, say, there, and we just go ahead and put a little road going this way as well, we can kind of just run it straight through this avenue. Now, yes, that is going to give us a little bit of trouble because we have two intersections really close to each other, but I think we can live with that. And I think this is kind of my thinking. And I know I'm talking about parking and now I'm kind of building a road to box this in, but what I'm actually thinking is that we just enable zoning on this road for a second, and then we just go in and find a large parking lot. I don't really think we need to go too crazy with custom parking around this thing. I do want, obviously, parking around it, but I'm really not interested in going totally custom with it. So maybe just a very large parking lot is what we could go for. I don't like the fence around it. I'm going to be honest. Not a big fan of the fences around the parking lots, but definitely an option. We could actually just put the wide one back here and then somehow connect it to that alleyway back there. That would be kind of interesting and potentially kind of fun, actually. Very, very tempted to do that. Very tempted to put it on this side as well. Not really too sure what we would do about the little road that kind of goes up to the end of it, though. We do have the large one, which honestly might just be the easier one to go for. Does it have a fence around it? It does, but we can get rid of that. So maybe this is the one we go for. Maybe this is the play. We go for the large parking lot there. We go for a large parking lot there. I don't mind that. They both have the same trees. They both have the same lights. We can just go in and say, you know what? You don't need a fence and you don't need a fence either. And I'm kind of okay with that. I think it's doing everything I need it to do as far as parking lots go. So we'll let that kind of live there. And what we'll do is just bring some of these surfaces straight down here, and we'll bring this one sort of straight down here as well. So that's all tied into the footpath right there, which is great. That's instantly just kind of selling me on this entire idea. Now, for the rest of it, I'm going to be honest, I don't love the yellow that we have here, but I'm kind of just going to deal with it. I'm kind of just going to live with it, and we're just going to extend it out and just let this entire welfare office take up this entire space, because that's That's kind of what it's here to do. It's going to just take up all of this. We're going to extend all of these surfaces right out to the road. We'll extend you right up to that corner right there. And it does sort of help bring it together. We do have a little bit of different height in the terrain there, but I'm not really super worried about that either. I like this. I do actually kind of like this. I wasn't expecting to be as sure about what I'm doing here, but yeah, this is pretty good. A little bit of parking at the front's pretty good. I do think we should maybe get a wide sidewalk around here, and maybe the same thing back here. Maybe a wide sidewalk on these sides. Maybe the same thing back there. Maybe some trees on the inside part would be an idea. I don't think we want them down here though, because we don't want traffic driving over the grass, but the rest of it seems fine. I think that's pretty solid. And I think we could probably tie this together with a little bit of a net lane fence. And very tempted to use this one because I absolutely love the look of this fence. Is there anything that's like red brick in here? There is really not, which is disappointing. There is this one, which is a bit tall. There's this guy. There's this guy. But I need it to kind of work. What do you look like? You are honestly not bad. Does it come in different colors? It does, which is slightly problematic because getting it to match is going to be a total pain, but I might have to suffer to to make this match. Or I just use this one. I think I'm just gonna use this one. It just looks better. It's just so much easier. And you know what? I think the wall around this was kind of the right call. It encloses it a little bit, makes it a little bit less open, but I definitely think it was the right way to go with it. It is a welfare office. It's a government building, so it probably should be a little bit more enclosed than it was. And I guess now I just need to figure out what to do with the green space, because that's kind of going to be the real challenge. I, for the life of me, have no idea what way I want to landscape this. I think I kind of just want to lean into what I've been doing elsewhere, which is just a whole lot of nature, a whole lot of oak trees and hickory trees and things like that. So we'll do, I guess, let's do a nice big oak tree. I mean, that's another entrance to the building, so I don't necessarily want to block that, but I think a nice big oak tree in this corner is a good call. I think a nice big oak tree in this corner is kind of a good call as well. That's something I'm really enjoying doing. And I think down here too, we'll do a nice big oak tree. And that might be all we do in terms of oak trees. I think birch trees we can kind of play around with a little bit. I don't want to completely overwhelm this thing, but I do kind of want there to be like a natural sort of barrier around it. I don't want it to just be a line of birch trees. I kind of want it to be a little wild with a little bit of open space as well. Is it obvious? I don't really have a plan at this point. I'm kind of just winging it because it really should be. I think what we'll do is get some hickory trees in here. I'm not going to do too many of these guys because I think they're a little bit brighter than I would want. And I think that's sort of okay in terms of the bigger trees. I think maybe another birch tree in here. And I'm realizing these are all the same size because I didn't vary the ages of them. So actually, I kind of want to go in and just redo a bunch of these trees. I do want the oak trees to be, they're like elderly because that's the biggest that they get. I think that's good to start with there. But I think the birch trees are going to go from young to mature to elderly. So we kind of have that variety in there of different size birch trees just to kind of change things up a little bit. You know, I think this is about what I'm looking for the welfare office. I do want to put some little park plaza thing in front of this at some point, but I'm not going to do that today because I kind of want to focus on joining these spaces together somehow. And the way I'm considering doing that is by breaking my rule of not zoning on these alleyways and then just going ahead and putting not a huge amount of mixed use zoning in here, but we could do a little bit of mixed use right here. which actually is another corner building, and it's on the avenue and this road, which is different, but actually very good for us. That kind of works out. So I'm sort of okay with that. I might do a little 2 by whatever here, then a little 3 by whatever here. We'll do a little guy like this, and then I might do some row houses. I'm very tempted to do row houses, though if I did row houses, it might make more sense to just do this for the row houses right down to about here. And I'm even tempted to take this out and just run a road straight through here. The only problem with doing that is it's going to kind of encourage traffic to drive on these avenues more than they need to. Although I could just put a district in here, which reasonably is probably what I should do. So I'll tell you what, let's just bring this down here and run this up to here, I guess. We'll turn off all of the... Oh, please don't crash. I think that was another autosave. That's actually the opposite. It's the opposite of the game crashing. It's the game doing what I need it to do for once, which is great. We'll do this. We'll give that a shot and we'll see how it plays out. We can turn off zoning on these roads just to make sure it's behaving, and we'll just let this build and see how it goes. Yes, we're gonna have these backyards in this space, but honestly, with this guy kind of giving us another little detailed corner, that's gonna be good. This can all probably just be a lot of green space. We can turn it into a little park. In fact, we could probably get ourselves a playground or a city park, or a dog park would even be kind of cool in here, I think. We can fit a little small park in here. We have this one as well. This small plaza might even fit. So let's turn on zoning for a second, and let's see what I can do in terms of a little plaza in here. Although it's really not wanting to cooperate, which is slightly problematic. You know, I don't think we will go for that. I think we will probably just go for... Oh, we have a large playground as well. I don't know if I want to put a playground next to the welfare office. It is going to be good in the sense that, you know, I think people will sort of appreciate it. We have this one as well. The Passage Park is pretty cool. We've got the Hedge Park, which is a bit huge. The large city park. We've got the multi-purpose park, and we got the large plaza. I don't think any of those are going to fit. I think we will probably stick with like the small park right here, which always fits in relatively well. Does the small plaza fit? It absolutely will not. Okay. And then obviously the tiny city park fits nicely as well. A small playground fits nicely. We can do a mix of things is what we can do. But there we go. We have this guy in the corner, which, yeah, I'm still kind of okay with that. Let me lock you so you don't change and mess up my my surfaces once I go in there and customize that. I kind of need to wait for these guys to build though before I fully decide what I'm doing. And you know, I think this is what we're going to go for. I'm just thinking I can maybe just shift it along a little bit to give us some more space. So it's also a little bit more central with the gazebo right there. We can obviously adjust the surfaces, and we are dealing with traffic coming through here, which I absolutely knew was going to happen. We'll figure something out for that. But I think what we'll do, just so I don't spend forever detailing this little space, is we're going to go through here with a little fence along the backs of these houses. I don't really care if it's is the exact same fence the entire way. Well, actually, you know what? I'm lying. It really bothers me that it's not the same fence, but we'll just do a little white picket fence across the backs of these guys to change things up a little bit. We can grab this surface, and I'm just going to bring it right down into that. Actually, you know what? For now, we'll bring it down to here. And we'll just extend you down to here as well. We'll do the same thing with this one and down to here. Same thing with you and down to here. And then essentially I just need to extend this entire surface out so it goes to the road. We need to do the same thing on this side, but it needs to go to the other surface. And then same thing here. And then this just kind of needs to fill all of this. Well, not all of this space actually, because I kind of have an idea for something we could do here, which is bringing it to about there, bringing this one back for a second, and then actually extending this surface straight out, because I noticed that there is a little tunnel there. So I thought it'd be kind of cool if that surface maybe doesn't extend the entire way. So maybe this is like a little road that traffic could use to get to that building for whatever reason. And I guess to the garbage as well. Maybe we'll just bring this in a little bit so it's not quite as wide, but I think that's kind of neat. I think it's a different little approach to this space, and I'm kind of okay with it. So we'll just bring the grass up to meet that surface, and I'm okay with that. And then in here, maybe for whatever reason, this grass doesn't get manicured quite as well. So it's going to be just the sort of regular grass texture. And then I can put some fences around this. I can put some trees in here. We can make this look nice. In fact, I might not even do walls and fences. I might just do trees and foliage, because I think that's probably a better shout rather than fencing absolutely everything in. Now, my question was gonna be, does traffic go through here? And the answer looks to be no. So I'm gonna lock this building, and I'm gonna put a little pedestrian path that goes from here underneath the building to this side of things, so that that little path actually gets used. I think that'd be kind of cool. And I'd kind of like to do the same thing. Well, actually, no. I was gonna do the same thing here. What I think I'll do actually is start over this way. We'll turn off all of the guidelines, and I want to just sort of maybe kind of freeform this a little bit, so we kind of have like a way for people to walk through this little space that I've detailed to get to that side. So that might be quicker for them. I don't know if they'll actually use it, but I think it'd be neat if they did. And then over here, I'm kind of gonna try and do the same thing so that maybe we can actually see people walking through there. On this side, we can kind of do the same thing as well. So we'll have people kind of walk down here. We can have them kind of walk around like this and over to the path there. We could probably have them walk down to that path as well. And then same on this side as well. We'll have them come down straight to the pedestrian path and maybe sort of break off here to go over to that side as well, just for the heck of it. Now, is anybody using any of that? Yes, yes, they absolutely are. That's what I wanted. That's what I wanted. We get people walking their dogs through there. We get, yes, that is, oh, I love it. Oh, I love it. I'm so happy about that. It just makes it look more alive, you know? It just makes it look that bit more alive. I've got no idea if anyone's going to use this part. I've got no idea if they'd even need to use that little part, but I love it. I love that so much. Okay, let me do some detailing here. Oh man, I'm having so much fun with this. I can't even begin to explain just how much fun I'm having with all. There we go. There's another person using my little path. That's so good. Oh, that's perfect. That is so perfect. Okay, I'll tell you what we're gonna do. We're gonna be a little bit neater with the trees on this side, because being a little bit neater means I can go a little bit quicker. So we'll use poplar trees, but I think first I want to bring some little bushes through here. I think we will do a line of these guys right across there. We'll do a line of these guys. I should probably stop saying the phrase "do a line of," because that has a completely different meaning in certain circles. We will plant a line of bushes like like this. No one else was thinking that. Not one person has, like, in the history of me playing this game and the first one, not one person's been like, oh, do a line of. So I don't know where that came from, but that's how my brain works these days. Anyway, we'll just just get these in here so that it's nicely sort of enclosed. And I think that's about enough for enclosing this. It does create a perimeter without, you know, just going sort of nuts and surrounding it. We'll also do some chestnut trees in here, because I realize I haven't played with these at all, and they get to be a decent little size. So we'll do a few chestnut trees just to change things up. We'll get ourselves another oak tree in this corner. We'll get an oak tree down here. Nice big oak tree in there. And then we'll get ourselves a few hickory trees as well. Just because I think surrounding this whole thing, making it a little bit more wild, perhaps, is going to be good for the people that live in these houses. They get a nice little sort of sound barrier between everything that's going on at the welfare office and everything that's going on at the park. And this is maybe a little bit too wild, but honestly, I like it. That's pretty solid. Last thing we need to do is a couple of props for this space. So what I'm going to go for is a little kiosk, say right about there. And then I just want to do like another little food cart thing. I want to do another little food stall kind of next to it. So we'll go about there. We'll do a couple of these little guys as well. Be there and about there. And that works. That's all it needs. It really doesn't need anything else other than a little way for people to kind of like walk around it again, which is so unnecessary, but it's such a beautiful little bit of detail that I can't not do it. I just can't not do it. In fact, I'm going to be even cheekier and bring a little pedestrian thing down here so they can kind of like walk along the side of the building to get to there, which again, so unnecessary. But if we actually get people walking there, it's gonna just be that extra little bit of detail and it's gonna look so good. Oh, and there we go. Someone's actually doing it. They're walking along the back of the building. I have no idea where they're going. They're going this way. Okay. That's so good. That's so perfect. That is exactly what I was looking for. I'm so pleased with this. I really am so pleased with this. I don't love that I've kind of broken my rule of putting, you know, buildings in an alleyway, but I think it does help to sort of enclose the welfare office. It kind of gives it its own little footprint. We have this in here. I think it's nicely detailed. I mean, these guys, it's not the worst place they could be. You know, they look outside, they got some trees, they got some bushes, they got a parking lot, but it's honestly probably better than these guys. These guys have to like go out the back way to get to their cars. These guys have their cars right across the street. So it'll be fine. It's one of the very few times I'm going to break that rule, and I think it's been worth it. All right, so I think with all of this built and with the welfare office now in place, we can probably go ahead and leave it there for today. In the next episode, I do want to start dealing with some of the garbage problems, because that is a problem. We probably want to get a recycling sensor in here. We've also got a couple of buildings here that have upgraded really, really nicely. They are beautiful. Maybe a little bit tall though. And I might do another little mixed use building next to them to sort of like feather into them, kind of like what we've done over here, where we have the larger buildings and slightly smaller ones, and we kind of like gradually kind of go down to the row houses. These guys are definitely a little bit out of place, but we'll deal with that in the next one. We'll deal with the garbage thing in the next one. And I also want to get a park maintenance depot in the next one as well, because we have a lot of parks starting to pop up. I'm trying to use as many of the actual park assets as possible so that we get the benefits of all this green space. So we need to make sure that we're looking after the parks that we have. But that is going to do us for today. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. It has been an absolute pleasure as always. As a note, just before we go, I just want to make you aware that I am traveling a little bit at the end of the month. So the first bunch of episodes of this series have been daily. The first 5 episodes have been daily. My goal with this is going to be 3 per week minimum. And then anything on top of that is going to be a bonus. So what I'm promising, what I'm aiming for is Monday, Wednesday, Friday for the series. And then if we have, you know, if I get more episodes done, then it'll be 4, it'll be 5, it'll be whatever. That's like my baseline is Monday, Wednesday, Friday. There's maybe going to be some other stuff around it. Right now, I'm kind of just really vibing with Cities Skylines 2. So we'll see if there's any variety that pops up, but that's the plan with the series. I'm away out of town from the 28th of October until I want to say the 8th of November. So almost 2 weeks will be pre-recorded from those dates, but the goal is Monday, Wednesday, Friday every week with this series going forward. If there's more than that, there's going to be more than that, but that's the goal. Just wanted to make you aware. Things can change as well. If I get sick, you know, things happen, but that's the baseline. All right. That's what we're aiming for. Anyway, that is going to do us for today. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. It has been an absolute pleasure as always. And as always, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.